Hey guys, welcome back to American Nostalgia Garage. We are finally at the part with this blue car that nobody was waiting for. We're going to put some interior in this car. So let's get started. I'm actually going to start with the seats and throw in some seat covers on the seats. New foam, new seats, because I don't feel like doing a headliner or anything else in the car yet. And we're not going to start with a carpet like most people do because I don't want to mess the carpet up doing all the other stuff above it and whatever. Alright, here's one of our seats. They're not in bad condition. The foam is kind of okay. I mean, they're kind of cracked and old and they're covered in spider webs. But not bad. But we're going to do a new seat cover on both front seats, bucket seats. New covers. And I may do new trim and stuff like that on the sides. This just looks dingy. But let's get this thing apart and we'll go from there. So these old seats are pretty much put together with hog rings, which are quite literally those rings that go in a hog's nose. Well, sort of. They're under here, and they basically clip anything that needs to be pulled down and attached to something. That's how they attach it. So you just cut all those off with a pair of these things. Metal cutters, choppers, whatever you call them, dikes. And then we're going to take our trim off with a Phillips head. So let's get started. Alright, I got the side bolster covers off of the seat. You can see the trim here. It's pretty easy to take on and off, but this probably looks like it's going to need to be replaced. It's kind of dingy. When you take these screws out of these panels here, you're going to get these screws and you're going to get these little plastic washers. Make sure you find all these, because otherwise it's going to fit funny after that. Anyway, so basically we're at a point where we're going to take off the back here. This ironically enough is made out of metal, so when you lay it on its back like I'm about to do, in order to take, you know, like this off and some other things down here, make sure you put down like a piece of cardboard, and don't do this on a trailer that you turned into a work table. But if you're going to do it like this, put down a piece of cardboard or a piece of wood or something like I'm about to not do. You don't want to mess this up. Alright, so here's an example of the hog rings. These just pretty much, they go in and they clamp around, you know, some structure or what they call listing wire, or around you know, something to hold them in. Kind of an important piece. You have these, which is basically like the hook for the back piece that goes over here, so don't forget those. But this is what the seat looks like on the inside. Here's a piece of plastic listing wire that basically goes through the sleeve and the piping, and it gives you something to hold on to. So anyway, basically what this is clip all these off and get the seat cover off. So let's do that. Alright, I got most of the hog rings out. At this point, I've got to take the lower portion of the seat and the upper portion of the seat apart. Let's just see these two bolts right here. So we'll take these out and get the two halves apart. Alright, here's where it looks like it's about to get interesting. Maybe not that interesting. In here, this little strip that sits into the foam, and that prevents the seat cover, these grooves here, from kind of pulling out and being loose. So they actually get tucked into the foam and then pulled down and hog ringed to this listing wire that's in here. So I'm going to clip it from the back so we could pull it off. But I'm not an interior guy, so I didn't know that was going to happen. We're all learning together here. Okay, I told you once, I'll tell you twice. I did it wrong again. I'm actually going to try to clip them from this side now. Got the old top cover off, and I'm going to say, judging by what our foam looks like here, that this seat has probably been rebuilt already, because this don't look that bad. Look, it's actually like, it's not in bad condition. To be quite honest, probably could get away with not replacing it, but we are going to replace it because I bought it already. Foam's off. That was pretty annoying, actually. Alright, we got top seat cover and top foam off. Got this batting stuff that's going to stay, and we're ready to put new foam on there. going to clean up these hog rings and we'll get started. Here's our new foams, and here's why we're replacing them. Because look at it. I mean, don't you want to sleep on that? Looks like one of those foam things or mattress things from one of those mattress commercials where they throw an egg on it or jump on it or whatever, have an elephant walk on it. Looks good. All right, we're throwing a new foam on. Put one hog ring in there just to hold it in place. A middle one on the back. And I'll probably do the same thing here. And then I'm going to tuck up this new dryer sheet looking material up underneath like it was on this one right here, and then hog ring it back, and then we've got to do the seat cover, and then we've got to put all the stuff back on. So that's fun. All right guys, got the foam on our seat. And go ahead and put this seat cover in. It's inside out because they want you to open it and kind of pull the wrinkles out. It helps to get the wrinkles out when it's inside out like that. So let's go ahead and get started with this. And I am getting eaten by mosquitoes, so if you guys appreciate what I'm doing for you here, putting a video together and giving you a guy to laugh at, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, please. It doesn't cost you anything, I promise. Also, maybe throw a comment down below and let me know how wrong I'm doing this and how you've done it better, because I guarantee you have. And then give me one of these. Maybe give me two. I don't know. I think you can only give one on YouTube, but on the other side, you click the button and then you just, you give a second one. All right, well, we just had a fun adventure, and I can promise you, you'd be glad you missed it. I was trying to wrap the upper seat cushion with the bottom seat cover, which is the big cushion with the small cover. So be glad that I didn't put it in the video, because not good. Anyway, we're going to put the right one on now, so I'm not even going to tell you how long I've been trying to get just the ones that are in the seam that I showed you. It was really, 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 really frustrating. And I want to keep this a kid's show, or at least something that guys can watch with their kids. So I'm going to leave all of the content about me putting those hog rings in out of the video. Capiche? Anyway, we're ready to put the rest of the seat cover on, thank God. So here we go. Well, I'm sitting in the brand new seat. See? That's as much as I'm going to show you, because I'm not proud of it. Like I said, I do want to keep this a channel that guys can watch with their kids. So I'm not going to show you all the footage it took for me to get this seat cover and foam on this seat. And I'm certainly not going to show you the moment when I looked at it right after I had finished it, because I'd have to change the viewer rating on the channel in order to do that. Let me give you a quick glimpse of it in all seriousness, and then we're going to move on to some other stuff. If you disregard the butt sweat, because it is warm and this was a lot of work, only a trained eye can tell that these are not matched up. Only a super cat-like whatever, you can't notice. I'm just kidding, you can notice. It's very apparent. The very first thing when I looked at this seat that I noticed was this, that these are not lined up at all. I think the rear cushion was a lot easier to do than the top cushion, or I should say the seat bottom was a lot easier to do than the seat back. So I think the seat back is probably the one that has the problem. Whatever, when I'm sitting in it you can't tell, and I guess because of the way that this seat came out, I guess we'll be tinting the windows in this car. So whatever, I'm not going to do the other seat right now because I just don't have the energy. I am completely beat by that seat. I gotta be honest, that wasn't fun, and if you're watching this video, I guarantee you're better at this than I am. I did learn a little something, and the seat does look new from a 40-foot vantage point. But we got to move on because I need some headliner and some other stuff, and this interior has got a long way to go. So let's get started. All right, well, I laid the headliner out on, yes, this is a 55 Chevy, which is now a workbench for today. I measured the center all the way down in each bow listing for where the headliner bows go. I measured the center so that we don't end up, when we go pulling side to side on the car, we'll just use this for reference, when I go pulling the sides down, that I don't run out of material. So I measured for the center on that. I measured, I don't know if you could tell, right there, the center on each one of the bows. So let's get started on yet another job that I don't want to do. But it'll have a good payoff. It'll look good in the end, so let's get started. All right, the mark that I had on each one of the bows, I put tape over so that when I put it in here, inside this material, that I could still feel the center, and I can line the center up with the center of the headliner. Now I've just got to use the instructions. Each one of these is color-coded, and I'll use the instructions to figure out which ones these go to. If you don't have that, then you kind of have a little bit of a pain in the butt on your hands. You're stuck either asking somebody or going to a forum to find out which one of these goes to which place, if you didn't pay attention to them taking them out. All right, we're getting ready to put our headliner in, and wanted to make one note. There's one bow that's wrapped in paper and doesn't have ends like the rest that go into the side of the car. This is wrapped in paper because apparently it's an insulator to, I guess, your dome light. So we're going to throw the dome light in the car, and then we're going to lay all this in there. Make sure you throw this in the sun so it makes it pliable. So yeah, let's get some sun on it. Okay, good. Now it's ready to go in. All right, well, I can tell you by the position that I'm in currently that this is going to be a frequent brake job. So let's get started because I'm already tired. So we got the headliner. I'm going to start with our middle bow, which is the paper wrapped bow that I talked about earlier. And it's got to go on these hooks. It's the only bow that actually doesn't hook into some holes here along this rail here. So the middle of the headliner, this is why we marked this earlier. So now, I don't know if you can see it with the light, I've got our line and I've got our tape that I put on the bow. So I know exactly where the middle is. So I'm going to put this up. I know that you can barely see me now because the light is behind the curtain, like in The Wizard of Oz. Don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain. Okay. That's one side. All right, that's one. Now I've only got 5 more to do, so that's pretty cool. These little strips have to be bent up just to hold it in place. I only have 2 sets. Or 2 sets. I have 2 hands. I have 1 set, 2 hands, which is more than some people. So I guess I'm winning there. But still not enough hands to do this by myself in an easy way. So let me. I'm gonna go do the back first, only because if I start pulling forward, I'm gonna pull right out of these clips. So I'll do the back so it pulls into the clips, and then I'll go back, come back here, and do the front. All right, we'll got some of the rear bows in, but I wanted to take this time to tell you there are some, I don't know if you can see, little hooks, and your headliner kind of, you know, goes in there. Or I should say the bows, kind of slip in there. I'm sweating, and you can see it is a scorching hot 79 degrees, but when you compile that with your high blood pressure, it's like 2,000 degrees Celsius. So Or like 1 billion degrees American, right? Because that's right. Anyway, you want to cut slots in this listing in the middle where this listing is going to interfere with those hooks. Otherwise, you'll be pretty much getting a huge wrinkle, or you'll be putting a hole in your headliner. So I was gentle, so I didn't rip it, but I do have to go back, take these out, and then cut the holes in it so that it'll go through. So let's do that now. All right, well, I got all the bows up. Yes, it's wrinkly, but I got them all up. That was the easy part. Easy part, right. All right, now I've got to work on the front and the rear. So let me show you how I'm doing that. So this is the side, but essentially we got the same thing on all 4 sides. We've got a whole bunch of flap that we've got to get rid of. This has to get pulled tight and wrapped around. Not here. There's actually a channel underneath here. I don't know if you can make it out in the video, but there's not the channel for the weather strip, but there's a channel underneath. We're going to get our headliner pulled tight, and then we're going to clamp it in there. So how are we going to do that? We are going to use contact cement, but while we're just getting it mocked up, we're going to use these things. Anybody remember these things from high school? Or if you're still in high school, do you know what this is? Is everything just digital at this point? Anyway, if you went to high school when I went to high school 157 years ago, then you know what these are. These are for the book reports that our parents gave us that we never did. I'm just going to throw them on the floor. I'm going to use a bunch of these because I never used them for homework, so I have a whole bunch of them left over. I'll just use them here as another set of hands. I'm just going to pull it pretty tight. Throw a clip on it. That already took out some of the wrinkles. All right, that already looks better. And mind you, I still have to do the back and then pull to the sides. So, and I've got to steam it to get all the creases out. So we're doing okay here. All right, so we got some headliner schmutz, and so what we're gonna do is we pulled our headliner binder clips that we talked about earlier, pulled those off. We're going to spray this little strip here where it actually bonds to. We're going to spray the back of our headliner, and then we're going to be really quick about this, which is weird because I function at the speed of a sloth at most times. So I'm going to be out of character is what I'm saying. So all right, let's get to that. Hold that with my head. Alright, that's too much. Let's get it on the back of the headliner and on my face. Now we're going to pull it tight in the middle first, and then I'll throw a binder clip here. So it's a new day. I'll give you an update of what's going on. Headliner is almost entirely finished, and we got some sail panels in. I'll give you a look at what we're doing here. So here's our headliner. I got the dome light mostly installed, and I don't know if you can see it. I did the sail panels over there. Sail panels were kind of a pain. Well, not really. but you have to move the clips around. If you've ever done those before, it is a little bit of a jockeying around with the clips and stuff like that, just to make sure that they clip into the sail panel there. So we've just got to run, at this point, we've just got to run some edge trim molding across here, which I ordered. It's on the way. All right, today's activities involve new bucket, cover the rear seat. Battery died, so I'm not very good at battery management. But anyway, Ryan from Automotive Chaos is helping us out. Check out his YouTube channel. It's
using my car as a workbench.
We're going to use his 55 Chevy as a workbench. I'm also probably going to crash this into a tree today. But he did find this tucked in the back seat, which never came from my car in the first place. So some guy somewhere, I have your build sheet. But it's mine now, so that's that. Anyway, let's get some seats covered so we have an interior. I'd like to take a minute to explore the joys of hot rod building with you guys. I noticed with our bucket seat that I'm recovering over there that there's spots that probably should have like 5, 6, maybe hog rings, and there's like 3. So it's good for taking it apart, but maybe not good for longevity. That's number 1. Number 2, and what do we have behind door number 1? We have a seat cover on top of another seat cover. And if you were lucky enough to buy this car, you would have also gotten that rat nest over there.
Yep.
So big win for the boys. Yes, it's a 1-year only build, and it's a highly optioned vehicle. This seat cover is in pristine condition. I actually think now that we've taken this other one off, we're going to just keep this one because it's so good. So
if we're going to Swiffer over that, you're probably golden.
Yeah, if you've got Windex in your garage, you're good. Just clean it up. Okay, that's got to come off. So we're going to recover these 2 seats, and then I'm going to go puke, and then we're going to do some other stuff. All right, guys, this is a new day. Some frustration on the home front here. Let me show you what's going on. First and foremost, this is kind of why you spend more money on parts, if you can. This is a carpet. It's from like kind of a no-name brand. I won't put the no-name brand up there, but it fits really, really bad. In fact, it fits so bad that I'm not going to use it. I got it on a deal. It was kind of one of those clearance, come and get it right now, $100, whatever, for a carpet that should be, say, $200, for example. I got it, and it sat in the box while I was doing this whole build. I finally get to it, and it doesn't fit at all. Now, there was no return policy, only because it was one of those clearance deals anyway, but it fits terribly, and now I've wasted $100. So I went and I bought a better carpet. I got a nice ACC carpet, molded carpet, and we're going to see if that fits better. Anyway, before we put a carpet in, we've got some stuff that's got to go on in here. Let me get some light going. So before I put a carpet down, I've got a little bit, I don't know if I'm going to do any welding. I might. But here's what's going on. The seats in this car are retained by this little bracket, which somebody obviously cut off when they transformed it into a race car, which is what this pad is. This was never here in the car originally. So they cut these off. I can't tell you why. I couldn't imagine them being in the way of anything where they are. And they're only about this high when they're normally there. So those are cut off. We've got to do something to retain the seat bottom so it doesn't slide back and forth. And then if you guys are aware of how these cars, why is this here? If you guys are aware of how these cars are, the seat back has some hooks, like this or whatever. They hold, you basically hang the seat back on it. Now I haven't covered the rear seat yet, and there's a reason for it. It's because I don't have any of these brackets down here or up there. So I'm actually going to put the bare bones brackets in the car right now, and I'm going to mock them into place so that I can put my hand through the seat bracket and see physically underneath. So it's almost like having an X-ray vision. So let's do that. Alright, so we got new burlap on there. Bottom doesn't really need new burlap, but we have a seat back and a seat bottom both in place. So now you can see underneath, I can see exactly where I need a bracket to be put. It's going to be pretty simple. I'm just going to make another strap, both sides. And then the back, I can see the frame. So what I'm going to do is pull the frame up until it's just above where the package tray would be to compensate for about that height. I want the pad to kind of come up. I don't want it to be so flush with it that when it does sag or get the press that it's pushed down. So I'm going to hang the hangers just so they're just above where the package tray will be up here. So now I'm going to put my brackets in here, and then we can move on with a carpet. All right, we got our makeshift brackets in. I'll show you how these seats are designed to be removed, and then I'll show you what our solution was. So if you look, I'm going to pull on the seat. It's not, you know, it won't move. The way that these are designed to come out, push back, pull up, and then you can pull forward. We'll do both sides. So here's what our solution was. Got a hook for the top, so the seat frame can just sit in there. And then on the bottom, very simple, put in with self-tappers. If you guys know the channel, you know I love those. Just a bracket with a hump in it. Not exactly the same shape that it was before. These are very crudely made, but I needed to do something right now because I wanted to get this over with. So I made these out of some sheet metal. Super easy, super cheap. Took 10 minutes. And now my rear seat is able to be mounted. So, moving on. All right, let's throw our carpet in, see how this fits. All right, that fits better. Still not great, but better. Now I've got to start locating holes, locating it side to side. Then we can throw some glue on it, get it glued in so it doesn't move. Carpet's glued in. Now we're going to move on to some other stuff. We're going to do door panels, kick panels, and mount the seats. Still got to recover the rear seat, so. It's tough to see with the light blaring in your eye, the UFO inside the car here. But here's our door panel. The way that these work is they have these like cutouts that are like predetermined for you to, you know, cut things out and, you know, mount things. Like on our door, you've got door handle, window crank, stuff like that. But what I like to do, you should always do, is I mount some of the screws in the door, and then I take the door panel and I push it up against, and then I kind of feel for the bolts and push the panel down so that it makes an impression on the back of the panel. So you can see I kind of did that here. Tough to make out, but there's one of the upholstery screws up there. You can see it's here, but this is why you double check it. Oh, I got some glue. This is why you double check it, because you just want to make sure before you cut it into a brand new panel that you're not cutting the hole here because that's where they tell you to, and then it just happens to be over here, because that's going to look really ugly. So another thing that I did is these upholstery screws down here. They come in silver when you get them from the for the car. I like to get them in black because I think it looks better with the door panel. You can get them from pretty much anywhere. Amazon has them. So let's get a door panel on this thing. All right, we got our armrests screwed together. Just 2 screws, pretty easy. I've got our locations for our cutouts, so I'm gonna take a razor blade to a brand new door panel, which is scary, and I'm going to open a slot. Cut our opening for our door opener and window crank. All right, so we got our driver's side door panel in, armrest, window crank, door handle. I'm going to clock it so it's nice and level. I've got to fold back the leather across the top and put the trim screws in, but that's basically in. That's what our door panel is going to look like. Pretty happy with it. Now I've got to do the rear door panel. There's no door, it's, you know, it's a two-door, but there is a panel to cover all that metal stuff, which you probably can't even see. Yeah, cover all that stuff. So we got to cover that with another panel. All right, we got our rear door panel done. Armrest, window crank. I've got to shoot some of the paint back there because I scuffed it up when I was moving the seat in and out. All right, we got to, this rear seat's got it, well, there's nothing here, but you know what I mean. The seat that's supposed to be here needs to be recovered, and then we'll have basically an entire interior. It's getting late. I'm gonna call it a day. Probably get out here and cover the seat tomorrow, the rear seat, and then we'll get a look at this finished interior. See you guys then. All right, one of the last things we got to do for the interior is we got to recover this rear seat. So we've got the seat bottom, we got the seat back, and I got the cover here. As I mentioned earlier, these have these things called listing wires, and there's supposed to be a piece of metal rod in there. There isn't on this new cover. So I have an idea. I'm going to use this that I had in my garage. Now you might be thinking, oh, that's just some metal wire, and it is. If you don't know what it is, maybe this will help you. If me showing you this tube doesn't help you figure out what it is, this is TIG wire for TIG welding. It is the only thing that I had in the garage. It's flexible enough, it's strong enough, and it's going to do the job for us today. Hopefully this isn't a mistake. So I'm going to fill the listing wires up. I'm going to recover the seat. I'm going to do that off camera because, like I mentioned earlier, I don't want to be cursing here on the old YouTube channel. So we're going to do that, and then I have one more kind of surprise for things we need to finish up for the interior for the blue car, and then we'll take a look at it. Last thing we're going to do, this was a little surprise I was talking about. Really isn't a surprise for you because you don't care. What do you care, right? It's actually a surprise for me, but whatever, a little added content. I'm going to recover this very bad looking dash pad. It's actually in very good shape, but it looks really bad. So we're going to recover it. And of course, I don't want to pay for anything, so I bought some felt from a fabric store. I'm going to cover that to give it some like plushness, you know, luxury. And then I bought some fake plastic leather. It's not bad looking though. So that's what the leather is going to look like. It's tough to tell it, but it's got a little grain in it. It looks decent. So let's give some upholstery a shot. I mean, who knows? If this works out, I can make my own clothes. Interior is in. It's basically finished. There are some finishing touches to go back and tweak and tune things just to make it look nice and smooth things out. But let me give you guys a look. Finally, we have a place to sit. And here's what we got. Alright guys, well, there you have it. It looks pretty good considering it didn't cost me anything. Well, it didn't cost me anything but, you know, the parts and stuff like that. Can't charge yourself for the labor, because I'd be poor. Anyway, basically we have an interior now. We got to move on to getting this thing basically to be a running, driving car. It's almost finished. Stick with me, guys. We're almost done with this car. We do have other builds, I promise. Believe me, I have plenty of work here. If you guys enjoyed the video, please drop a like down there. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Keep up with new videos on new builds and finishing this build and whatnot. And until next time, later.